Guitar Champion, you know what? I am pissed. I mean, in one of my latest videos, you guys wrote that one of the best Petrucci solos is the Stream of Consciousness. And yeah, I give you 100% right there. It's a really good speed picking shred solo from the master himself, John Petrucci. So I thought after reading those comments, I want to relearn that solo. I mean, I covered it a while ago here on that channel, but hey, why not relearning it? Because it's a fun solo. And then I was opening up tabs and I was seeing this.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
And this is really fucked up to learn, even though that the tabs are pretty accurate. Here we are encountering a phenomenon that is really confusing a lot of beginner to intermediate guitar players. Problem that we are going to face in today's video, and I'm going to give you a solution for that problem and tell you guys how I handled and how I dealt with that. Here we go. Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? I'm 𝗚𝗚𝙦𝙦𝙦, back from my practice dojo, and welcome to today's video. The tabs that you have seen in the intro was from the YouTube channel called Evan Bradley, and I'm a big fan of Evan's work. He's an extremely good and extremely accurate guitar transcriber. I mean, gone are the days where you got tab books from your favorite metal record in the 90s and you're opening up and you see like, this does not look right and it definitely does not sound right. So am I the problem or are the tabs the problem? And I can tell you, yeah, most of the time the tabs are the problem. But nowadays we have so many incredible tools that can help you with your transcription. We have slowdowner tools, we have AIs that are filtering out individual voices and all this kind of stuff. So extremely helpful. And I did as well a lot of transcriptional work in my university time, and I learned the craft of how to transcribe correctly. And I have to say, yeah, Evan is doing a good job. He's really accurate, he's really precise. But he has to encounter one problem. Imagine the following scenario. Your transcription is extremely accurate and precise, but not the guitar player behind that transcription, the person who wrote and played that solo. And in this case, John Petrucci in Stream of Consciousness, I have to say, he is not accurate and precise in his playing at all. Oh wonder, he is a human, he's not a machine. Sometimes he's not maybe extremely tight with his shredding, sometimes there are wrong notes or like doubled notes and all these kind of things, but that's absolutely normal. It is for us to find out how to deal with this kind of scenario so that we are still able to not only learn that solo, but also learn from that solo. And so we have that conflict of accurate transcriber and not so accurate player, and we have that a lot of times. Yngwie Malmsteen, Jason Becker, Paul Gilbert, Marty Friedman, all these old school guitar players were coming more from the school like, hey, yeah, I do one improvisational take and then that solo should be good. And compared to the extremely calculated solos that we sometimes have in modern metal. Let me demonstrate to you what I mean and how I dealt with that with two examples from the Stream of Consciousness. We have the first problem with the following shred line right here. Well, when we're taking a look at this, we can clearly see that we have an extremely fucked up subdivision. 22 against 12. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is 22 against 12? Well, let me explain this to you. Our bass subdivision core are 12/8 notes, like a 12/8 feeling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that space of 6 notes, we want to push in 20-second notes. So these are no quintuplets or septuplets or sextuplets. No, this is a whole different kind of subdivision, which is extremely fucked up and really complicated. But yeah, you can see it like this. 22 notes pushed in the space of 12/8 notes. Is it a phrase that is based on 22 notes? We see no. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of phrase, a 6-note phrase with 4 additional notes squeezed in. And this is a really typical kind of 6-note phrase. In fact, it is my favorite speed picking lick from the ZEN of Speedpicking, my big online masterclass about speed picking that you can get in the link in the description box, but more about that later in that video. So here I have for you in Guitar Pro written down the 22 against 12 phrase, but also how I think this phrase was actually intended as a 6-note phrase, a 6-note phrase with 3 groups of 6-note phrases. So now we're coming to a really important point. Petrucci probably intended to play this 6-note phrase, ba-da-da-da-da-da, but he was a little bit too fast, so that he has more space and more time left than intended, because 3 groups of 6-note phrase equals 18 notes. But in that bar we have 22 notes with an equal time relationship. And that means he was a little bit too fast, so that the 4 notes in the end of that bar were actually planned to be in the second bar, the bar after this kind of phrase. But yeah, Petrucci was a little bit too fast. So the 22nd subdivision against 12 was by accident and not intentionally. And this is really important to understand and to see when you are learning or covering solos. What was the intention of the guitar player? What kind of phrase or vocabulary was the intention of that guitar player? And how was he executing this idea? And for me, and I'm going to explain that later in the video, intention is always above the execution. So now let's have a look on the second example that I've prepared, this line and this lick here. Well, now this is kind of weird. So let's take a look on this. So we start with the 17th fret, play it really fast, and then 22nd, 2 times 2018. Okay, that's weird. And then we have 20, 2 times 22nd, 20, 80, 20, 18, 17, 18, 20, position shift 17 to 15. We have 10 against 6. Okay, that's weird. Then 6 tablets. Then we have 11 against 6, and then again 10 against 6. That's super weird. And now, while I was trying to learn that, I got really confused. And to resolve that confusion, I put on my Sherlock Holmes hat and I was digging and I was researching about, okay, what could be the intention of that line? What was Petrucci's original intention? And there I was checking the live version from Dream Theater from the legendary Live at Budokan in 2004. So let's see how he's playing this phrase right here. Okay, that's a little bit clearer than on the recorded version. Let's slow that down. Let's see what kind of subdivision we have here. What kind of groupings do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So here we have a 6-note phrase, again similar to the 6-note phrase from the beginning, where we have first the descending version, then ascending version, then the jump version. But still, it did not really felt right, because that is a really unusual line and lick, and I don't know, it just didn't felt right. So I was checking again the transcription, and there was a section in the transcription where I got clear that this should not be a 6-note phrase, that the original intention was to have this as a 7-note septuplet phrase. So here we have the 6-note phrase, how it is in the live version. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here we have now how it was really intended as a 7-note septuplet phrase. So 1 note is all the time missing in the 6-note phrase, because here again we go descending, we go ascending, and then we have that jump. And here we go descending, we go ascending and descending again. And descending, ascending, descending. So that explains the intentional version, but how does it come that he sometimes is playing, you know, like 22nd fret 2 times and then 20th fret 2 times? Is that intentional? No, because while on the one example, Petrucci was a little bit too fast, in this case, Petrucci was a little bit too slow, because having the notes played twice is a typical indicator for the left hand not being fast enough to pull down the note, to push down the note from the fret, and the right hand being a little bit too fast. So the hand synchronization is off. His left hand is definitely slower here. But yeah, but now what should I do with this kind of information? Well, that's pretty easy. Don't learn it like he executed it. First, understand the line how it was intended, and then practice it the way how it was intended. because a lot of my students, like for example, my students from the ZEN of SPEEDPICKING Academy, my Patreon community, they started to learn these kind of solos, and they're really trying to, get the quintuplet feeling in it, and they're trying to get those double pick notes, etc., etc. For example, with the first lick that I showed you in that video, I highly recommend don't learn it in the way how he executed it, learn it how it was intended. So first learn, in this case, the sextuplet lick, that how he intended to do, that he intended to put there. And when you got that sextuplet lick down under that tempo, you can start implementing the feeling of rushing and dragging. So for you, it is important to understand, okay, is he rushing or was Petrucci dragging?
3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference.
Then to take that feeling and to put it into your playing. But before you can take that feeling and put it into your playing, you have to get the basics down, the foundations down. And if you want to need a really good guidance for the foundations of speed picking, I can highly recommend to you the ZEN of Speedpicking, my big online masterclass about speed picking. With more than 50 licks, 10 etudes, 4 workouts, and a bulletproof practice plan for everybody who does not have a lot of time to practice, we can bring together your playing to the next level. So check the link in the description box, get the ZEN of Speedpicking, and don't miss the chance to get the ZEN of Sweeping, my big online masterclass about sweeping, 50% off while buying the ZEN of Speedpicking. Again, check the link in the description box for more information. So now, but is that a critique on transcriptional channels like the one from Even Bradley? No, not at all. As I already mentioned, I really like his work. It's really helpful. But of course, there's a dispute in transcribers. I mean, I can understand why Even has to do it so precise, because he wants to line up his Guitar Pro MIDI sound underneath the original sound. So he has to be extremely accurate. But I was asking my good buddy Levi Clay about this. Levi Clay is I would say one of the most famous guitar transcribers out there. He has a really great, really huge YouTube channel with some really incredible licks and lessons in there. I highly recommend to check that out and to subscribe to that. And he's one of the best transcribers that I know. And I asked Levi about his point of view about this situation, how he deals with this situation. And he responded to me this really interesting voicemail.
Hey dude, a really interesting subject, and it's one that I talk about with students, students more so than clients. It's about, you talk about intention, and of course intention absolutely matters. It ultimately depends what the end use for the transcription is what I would always say. So I consider my job as a transcriber not to document a thing that happened. I think that my job as a transcriber is to create resources that the end user can actually read. I think there has to be a degree of quantizing when you're transcribing to make sure that the end transcription, the end thing on the page, looks good. You know, if you have too much ink on the transcription, too much ink on the page, it becomes unusable in terms of what its actual original use was, right? It's a tool that we use in order to bring out sound. Just as when you're writing out things like swing, you wouldn't write dotted eighth notes and followed by a 16th note, or you wouldn't write triplet quarter followed by triplet eighth note. You just tell the person that this is a swing feel. And of course, when you start transcribing lots of jazz swing lines where they push and pull with their swing, you wouldn't want to notate that. You have to have enough faith in the end person who's using the transcription that they can interpret that level of time. So yeah, when it comes to the example you gave there, with the quintuplet versus the sextuplet, that's slightly different. And the only reason I say it's slightly different is, well, there's a difference between a quintuplet and a sextuplet in that a sextuplet has 6 notes and a quintuplet has 5 notes. So I wouldn't put a note in that wasn't played, because that feels inaccurate. But if it was, for example, this happens quite often. If you're transcribing sextuplets, it's entirely possible that one of them is a little bit longer than the others. And I wouldn't do like a septuplet, a group of 7, with an 8th note septuplet followed by 5 16th note sextuplets, you know what I mean? Because again, that would look bad on the page, it would be hard to read, hard to interpret. So my goal with my transcriptions is always to make sure that they are as usable as possible for the end reader. That makes sense? Don't be shy, you can fire back if you want more opinions, I'm happy.
So the next time you see this, you know what to do. to subscribe to this channel, to join my ZEN of SWEEPING Patreon community and get the ZEN of Speedpicking. No, just kidding. But you know now what to do. First, think of the intention, try to find out the intention, and then apply the execution of it. And by that, so much for today's video. I hope you like this video. I hope I'm going to see you in my next video. Cheers and power your progress. Bye.